So I already get loads of people asking me which one should I buy, the Pixel 6 or the Pixel 6 Pro, and now Google has complicated that decision even further by releasing a third member of the Pixel 6 family, the Pixel 6a. This mofo is the cheapest of the bunch at just 399 quid here in the UK, and yes, it is actually coming to the UK, cheers Google. And yet the Pixel 6a still boasts all those great exclusive features, and it's powered by the same Tensor chipset as its more expensive siblings. Now, while the Pixel 6a may seem like a great deal at $399, also bear in mind that Google has just dropped the price of its standard Pixel 6 to just $449, just 50 quid more. Meanwhile, the Pixel 6 Pro has also been slashed in price, but to 649 quid, so it's still a big chunk of change more than its brothers. So which one's best for you? Well, let's do a big old side-by-side comparison jobby to find out. And for more on the latest and greatest tech, please do subscribe and ding that notifications bell. Cheers! So I've arranged this Pixel trio in order of size as well as cost. You've got the cheaper Pixel 6 here on the left, then the Pixel 6 and the Pixel 6 Pro. And as you can see, there is a clear difference in the dimensions. The Pixel 6a is actually one of the dinkiest smartphones of 2022 so far at 6.1 inches. Then you've got the 6.4 inch Pixel 6, a bit more regular sized, and then the behemoth, the Pixel 6 Pro at 6.7 inches. The Pixel 6a definitely my favourite as far as the design goes because it is pleasingly hand-friendly. It's much easier to use one-handed compared with its much bigger siblings. I'll admit, I still have to make liberal use of that old one-handed mode as well, because reaching up towards the top end of the screen can be a bit of a struggle at times. But it's lighter, feels better when you're clutching it, it's just easier to manoeuvre around, and it slips into your pocket or your bag more easily too. In comparison, the Pixel 6 and the Pixel 6 Pro are pretty hefty and just absolute whoppers. And that's certainly not helped by the fact you've got reasonably chunky bezels surrounding that Pixel 6 screen, so it's actually not too far off the size of the Pixel 6 Pro, where that screen tends to just about meet the very edges. Now you've got a Gorilla Glass 3 plating on the Pixel 6a compared with Gorilla Glass Victus here on the Pixel 6 and Pixel 6 Pro. So that means these displays are less likely to shatter if you do drop them and they smack on the concrete, for instance. However, Gorilla Glass Victus also very susceptible to scratching. So frankly, no matter which one you go for, I would recommend slapping on a screen protector anyway. The frame of the phone is constructed from recycled aluminium here on the Pixel 6a and the regular Pixel 6, whereas on the Pixel 6 Pro, that is upgraded to a lovely, super shiny, polished alloy. As for the arse end, well, the Pixel 6a is formed of a 3D thermoformed composite material apparently. What that essentially means is cheaper, so plasticky material compared with the premium glass finish here on the Pixel 6 and the Pixel 6 Pro. But fair play to Google, I can barely tell the difference at all. These phones really do look the same, they feel the same, they've got that same shiny, glossy vibe to them, and thankfully, especially in this white model, they do a pretty decent job of hiding greasy, grimy prints and scuffs. There's also a difference in the glass used between the 6 and the Pro. It's Gorilla Glass 6 here on the Pixel 6, Gorilla Glass Victus here on the Pro, so again, much less likely to shatter if you happen to fumble the bugger. And the good news is, despite its low mid-range cost, the Pixel 6a is still IP67 water and dust resistant, so it can stay submerged for a good length of time. That's upgraded slightly on the Pixel 6 and the Pro to IP68, so they can basically stay moist for a bit longer. And the Pixel trio all come in a choice of 3 colours, generally black, white and something a bit more colourful, but just grab them in white because the white is bloody lovely. And these Pixel phones all have space for just a single physical SIM card, unfortunately, but they do all support eSIM as well, so you can get a bit of that on the go, especially handy when you're travelling. Now the software situation is essentially identical in all 3 of these smartphones. You've got the latest, freshest Android 12, of course, soon to be Android 13 when the Pixel 7 phones launch. And you've got Google's guarantee of at least 5 years of software updates as well, which is a major bonus of going Pixel over other Androids. There's no noticeable differences here at all. You've got all the great Android 12 features, including of course all the fantastic privacy features. You've got the improved customization, so you can get a good bit of theming on the go, make everything feel consistent. And plenty of great Pixel exclusive features you won't find on other Androids, like the at a glance. You've got that call screening feature, and at last a small but respectable selection of gaming tools as well, always handy. And if security is a big deal for you, any of these Pixel 6 handsets will do the job. They all sport Google's Titan M2 core processor, which securely stores away all of your confidential data, your passwords, your biometrics, all that sensitive stuff. And having that all securely stored separately away from everything else means that any thieving gits trying to hack into your smartphone and nick it all are going to have a pretty bloody rough time. Now all 3 of these phones sport an in-display fingerprint sensor. It's a basic optical scanner on all 3 of them. And here on the Pixel 6 and the Pixel 6 Pro, they can be a little bit ropey and unreliable, shall we say. And frankly, that is me being polite. I could also say that they are absolutely rage-inducingly cack. Thankfully, Google seems to have recognized that this is a problem and somehow refined the fingerprint sensor here on the Pixel 6a, because it seems to just recognize me every single time. Still not the most responsive fingerprint sensor around. It takes a second or so to sort of recognize me, but at least it does actually recognize me when I tap my tip to that sensor. My fingertip, obviously, nothing pervy. And on the super sexy subject of storage, the Pixel 6a only comes in a 128GB flavor. You've got a choice of 128 or 256 here on the Pixel 6, and the almighty Pixel 6 Pro even comes in a 0.5 terabyte option, although I think that might be region dependent. And no, unfortunately, it doesn't matter which one you go for, there's bugger all micro SD memory card action on any of these three, so you can't expand that storage at will. On a more positive front, no matter your choice of pixel, you'll get a rather stunning OLED screen, although there are differences in that display tech besides the size. The Pixel 6a and the Pixel 6 sports a Full HD Plus resolution that is upgraded on the Pro model to Quad HD Plus, but the size difference means that those smaller, more affordable Pixel phones spaff out visuals that are almost just as sharp as Captain Big Cock here. Certainly my shagged out old eyeballs can't notice any real difference when I'm browsing photos or watching video. You got HDR support with all three. You got really nice poppy rich colors. You can tweak the colors as well in the display settings if you like. Nice wide viewing angles, so great news if you're trying to watch a video with a mate or two. And when you bump up the brightness to maximum levels, you'll clearly be able to see what's going on outdoors. So basically all three of these displays proper eye candy. However, while the Pixel 6a is rather sadly stuck at a rather meager 60Hz refresh, that gets upgraded here on the regular Pixel 6 to 90Hz. So when you're using a supported app or just browsing that UI, you can get a lovely fluid, super smooth experience. And the display is upgraded again here on the Pixel 6 Pro. It's actually LTPO tech, so it can rise as high as 120Hz. Not that my knackered old eyes can see the difference between 90 and 120 particularly, but it can also drop as low as 10Hz when the image on the screen is quite static, just to help preserve battery life. Now you've got stereo speakers on all three of these Pixel 6 series smartphones as well, although the bigger the phone, not necessarily the better the quality as you might expect. All three of these phones, the sound is still a bit tinny when you bump it all the way up to that maximum volume, and there's not a huge amount of difference in that volume either. And what's that? You want a headphone jack? Well, tough tits, my friend, because no headphone jack action on any of these Pixel phones, and in fact Google actually told me if you still use a wired connection for your headphones, then you're a bit of a twat. That's a complete lie. Google said no such thing before I get sued to f***. So let's shift on to performance, and again there's not a massive amount of difference between these three because they're all powered by Google's Tensor chipset, which debuted on the Pixel 6 and the Pixel 6 Pro last year. The amount of memory you get again depends on how much money you spunk at Google. You got 6 gigs here on the Pixel 6a, you got double that, 12 gigs here on the Pro, and then the Pixel 6 is once again the piggy in the middle with 8 gigs. And in all three cases, that's DDR5 RAM as well, so faster and more energy efficient compared with the older DDR4 RAM. And the everyday performance is great no matter which Pixel you stump up for. Apps just load up straight away. You can have lots of apps buzzing away in the background doing whatever they need to do, and it won't slow things down. However, I gotta say the gaming is not so hot on this Pixel trio. Even the Pro model occasionally struggles with the most demanding stuff like Genshin Impact, when those graphics settings are thrust all the way up to the maximum levels. But the Pixel 6a noticeably suffers a lot more than its siblings thanks to the slashed memory. Genshin can only be played on low to medium detail settings, or else this phone huffs and puffs like Boris Johnson attempting to not tell a lie. You'll see some serious drops in that frame rate if you try it on higher graphics levels, to the point that it's basically unplayable. And all three of these smartphones also have a tendency to heat up as well, and that's just when the screen is on, even if you're just doing a bit of web browsing or messaging or something basic like that. Thankfully, no complaints when it comes to the connectivity. You've got up to Wi-Fi 6E support on all three, as well as that 5G support as well. So no worries whether I was at home or out and about. I found that the connection stayed strong. My download speeds were good. Although it is worth mentioning, if you're into your ultra wideband tech, well, only the Pro supports that out of this trio. So onto battery tech, and it's probably not going to be a massive shock to learn that the smaller smartphone, the Pixel 6a, has the smallest battery at 4,410 mAh. Pixel 6 is in the middle at 4,600, and the Pixel 6 Pro boosts that to a whopping great 5,000 mAh cell. But don't forget that that bigger phone not only has a bigger battery, but it's also got a bigger display and more tech crammed inside as well. The good news is that all three of these pixel blowers will see you through a full day of use on a full charge, no worries whatsoever. And I did perform a basic battery drain test as well, because I know some people like a bit of that, streaming the same movie on each phone to see how long they survived. And the Pixel 6a and the Pixel 6 actually dropped at more or less the same speed. They lasted around 10 hours in total when streaming video. The Pro actually died a little bit quicker than that, unfortunately, despite having that bigger battery. But again, the battery life is solid on all three. And when they are dead and you need to juice them back up again, well, the Pixel 6a supports very basic 18-watt wired charging, quite measly compared with a lot of the competition these days. Meanwhile, the Pixel 6 and the Pixel 6 Pro upgrade that to 30 watts, still not exactly mega fast, and in all three cases, that charger is very much sold separately. And you've also got wireless charging support on the Pixel 6 and the Pixel 6 Pro, but not here on the cheaper Pixel 6a. So let's finish this almighty Pixel 6 series comparison with a squint at the camera tech. And you've got a 12.2 megapixel camera sensor on the Pixel 6a. That's the same sensor as found in the older Pixel 5a from last year. And meanwhile, this is upgraded to a fresh 50 meg sensor on the 6 and the 6 Pro, which is 2.5 times bigger to suck up more light when needed. Although all three include a tasty bit of optical image stabilization, and all three also benefit from the Tensor chipset's built-in ISP. When you check out pictures from these three phones side by side, the results are strikingly similar despite the Pixel 6a's reliance on older tech. Pics are almost as detailed, even when you zoom right into a section of a photo. Not really too surprising, as the 6 and the 6 Pro spaff out 4080 by 3072 resolution images, while the 6a is close behind at 4032 by 3024. That's because the flagships use pixel binning to produce brighter images. And certainly those colours do look more natural in fainter light, although the 6a once again comes impressively close. In HDR situations, the 6a tends to saturate those brighter skies a little, and colours are again a tiny bit off. But it is a close call, seriously. The budget Pixel is a chuffing good snapper at this price. And when things do get proper dark and you hit up the night sight modes, again the Pixel 6a does a bloody good job, strangling every last bit of skill from those older optics. You'll get a bit more noise here, but it's impressive stuff all the same. All three Pixel phones do a solid job with portrait snaps, adding a lovely bokeh style effect to your photo while keeping your subject pin sharp. And likewise, there's a 12 meg ultra wide angle shooter which performs more or less identical on all three of these Google blowers, expanding the view when required. Nothing too exciting there, but it's good to have that flexibility. However, only the Pro model also includes a zoom lens, namely a 48 meg telephoto shooter with 4x optical zoom and optical image stabilization. So if you want to grab an unobtrusive shot of your pets or kids at play, or you do a lot of traveling and you like to snap some interesting bits of architecture, then this one is your huckleberry. For your video needs, all three of these blowers can shoot 4K resolution home movies at 30 or 60 frames per second with respectable image stabilization. They're not the best around right now, not quite matching the smooth, slick visuals of those Samsung flagships for instance, but they'll certainly do the job. And that Pro model once again can use the telephoto shooter to get closer to your subject, while the others only offer up an ultra-wide alternative. And that 8 meg selfie cam on the Pixel 6 and the 6a is upgraded to an 11.1 megapixel sensor with a wider viewing angle on the Pro. But again, there's not a world of difference separating the cheaper Pixels from the Pro model. The Pro serves up a bit more detail in lower light, which is either good or bad depending on how many f***ing wrinkles you have these days. So that right there is my full side-by-side comparison, and I've got to say, now that the Pixel 6a and the Pixel 6 are almost identically priced, your choice is probably going to come down to what your preference is. Would you like a nice compact design and a fingerprint sensor that actually frickin' works, or would you like the convenience of the wireless charger and the more up-to-date camera tech and the extra memory? Alternatively, if you've got even more cash to spunk out at Google, where you can upgrade again to the Pro for even more memory again and some extra little bits like the telephoto lens and that ultra wideband tech. Personally for me, unless like money is absolutely no object, you literally wipe your ass with £50 notes, I would say stick between the Pixel 6 and the Pixel 6a. Anyway, that's what I reckon. It'd be great to hear your thoughts down in the comments below. Please do check out my full in-depth long-term reviews on the Pixel 6 and the Pixel 6 Pro if you're intrigued by them. The Pixel 6a, my unboxing is live right now, my camera review is live right now, and my full in-depth review should be coming soon. And for more of the latest and greatest tech, please do plug subscribe, ding that notifications bell, and have yourselves a ruddy good rest of the week. Cheers everyone, love you!